Before we start, you need to know one thing. This lesson will not try to motivate you. Motivation, it's unreliable. This lesson is about exposure. Exposure to what's actually running you. Because once you cannot unsee it, you'll stop negotiating with it. Let's get into it. Now, I want you to stop. Not mentally, but physically. Let your face be natural. Let your shoulders go ahead and drop an inch. Let your breath happen without performing it. Now, notice this. Even when you stop, your body is still doing something. It has a posture. It has a tone. It has a readiness level. It has a threat level. You didn't choose it. It was already chosen. This is the first truth. You do not live from decisions. You live from defaults. And your defaults are not your moral. They are not you. They are training. The question that changes the room is if your body could speak honestly, it would not say, I want change. What it would say is, I want to stay safe. And your entire life is in negotiation between those two voices. I want change. I want to stay safe. Now let's talk about the illusion of why knowing doesn't change you. First, we're going to dismantle the most dangerous line in personal development. If I understand it enough, I'll do it. Now, that may sound right. I mean, it feels smart. It protects your identity. But it's false. Because your nervous system does not follow understanding. It follows what's familiar. It follows safety. It follows the internal question you never consciously ask. If I actually change, what do I lose? Think about that. If I actually change, what do I lose? Because here's the deep part. Most people aren't afraid of failure. They're afraid of success because success removes their excuses. It removes their identity, their story, their emotional home. So the system protects the home, even if the home is stress, even if the home is struggle, even if the home is almost. So what does that mean? Well, in translation, your procrastination is not a time problem. It's a safety decision. Your inconsistency is not a discipline problem. It's a familiar addiction. Your burnout is not a workload problem. It's a state regulation problem. Your overthinking, it's not intelligence. It's control trying to feel safe. So there's a prime directive here. Predict, protect, repeat. Your nervous system runs on a loop. It's brutal, but it's simple. It predicts what's about to happen. Then it protects and it prevents pain and avoids exposure. And then it repeats. It locks in what worked before. This is why your system loves patterns, because a pattern is a prediction, and a prediction feels like control, and control feels like safety. So your body chooses familiar states like urgency, tension, pressure, mental noise, doing, fixing, proving, bracing, even when you say you want peace. Because peace is not familiar to a system trained on bracing. Here's your high ticket truth. You do not have a goal problem. You have a home base problem. Your body has a home base state. It returns there automatically, like you return to your home automatically. And anything that threatens home base triggers resistance. So the original contract, and this is where it all began. You were trained before you had language, before you had logic, before you had the ability to interpret intention. You didn't learn with your mind first. You learned with your body. You learned what tones meant danger, what silence means, what love actually costs, what attention requires, whether mistakes are safe, whether being seen is safe, whether rest is safe. These weren't thoughts. They were conditions. Your system formed a contract saying that if I do X, I stay safe. If I feel X, I stay safe. If I become X, I stay safe. And you've been honoring that contract ever since, even if it ruins your future. Here's what makes this painful. Your conscious self wants expansion. Your nervous system wants protection. You live in the middle, wanting a life you cannot fully receive. And that's the real trap. Not lack of effort, lack of safety to receive. The real enemy is the emotional, familiar state. Your body doesn't chase happiness. It chases the familiar emotional chemistry. If chaos was normal, calm feels suspicious. If pressure was normal, ease feels undeserved. If love came with tension, peace feels empty. So you recreate the known, not because you're broken, but because your system is loyal. So I want you to listen really closely to this. Your nervous system will sabotage peace, because peace removes the coping identity. And if you do not have the coping identity, who are you? Now that question creates fear. So the system returns to what it knows. Busyness, noise, grinding, overthinking, getting ready, one more thing. That's not laziness. That's protection. This is the moment you admit the truth. This is where this lesson becomes dangerous, but in a good way. Now, I want you to write these down. Don't answer them in your head. I want you to write these down. The version of me that's stuck gets to avoid what? The version of me that's stuck gets to avoid what? Number 2. If I actually changed, I would have to face blank. if I actually changed, I would have to face blank. Number 3, the emotional state I return to most often is blank. The emotional state I return to most often is blank. And then lastly, I secretly believe that state keeps me safe because blank. I secretly believe that state keeps me safe because blank. And when you get done filling that out, I want you to read what you wrote. Do not fix it. Just feel what it reveals. Because this is the first crack. Because once you see what you're protecting, you stop being confused. Now let's talk about something really important here. The nighttime loop, where tomorrow gets installed. So at night, your system does not shut down. It consolidates. The state you fall asleep in becomes the background of your body repairs inside of. Not philosophically, but experimentally. So, if you end your day in tension, pressure, unresolved conflict, overthinking, self-judgment, doom scrolling, stimulation, your system sleeps inside that. Then you wake up inside of that. And your mind, your brain, calls it a bad day or low motivation. But it's actually a carryover state. Because here's the deep truth. Most people try to build a new life on a nervous system they never actually chose. So, they live in a permanent open tab. And open tabs drain power. So then the morning comes. And this is where the programming just restarts. Mornings don't begin with thought. They begin with a body, a chemical tone, a readiness, a threat level. That's why you can wake up and immediately feel, here we go again, before anything happens. Then your brain manufactures reasons. It's work, money, the kids, it's just today. But the truth is, your system is reloading yesterday. So your day isn't created in the morning. It's continued in the morning. Which means the leverage point is not try harder. It's close the loop. Close the tab. So here's the deepest turn. You do not need motivation. You need a system that makes actions feel safe. Because action requires exposure. And exposure is what the nervous system avoids. Your nervous system doesn't resist goals. It resists identity death. Because if you become the person who follows through, you lose the person who gets to stay protected. And protection, it's addictive. That's why people say, I don't know what's wrong with me. Because admitting the truth feels like admitting complexity. So, we stay confused. Confusion is safer than being responsible. But here's the elite shift. Responsibility is not blame. Responsibility is power returning. So we're going to start the installation. Okay? State before the story. This is where you start training the new reference point. So, I want you to go ahead, keep your eyes open. Put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. And I want you to inhale through your nose for a count of 4. And exhale through your nose for a count of 6. Now do this 6 times slowly. Now, notice, what does your body want to do right now? Does it want to rush? Fix? Move? Think? Don't judge it. Just name it. My system wants to blank. Because once you name it, you claim it. Now, add one sentence. I am safe enough to stay here. So you got to put in there, my system wants blank, and I'm safe enough to stay here. This is not relaxation. This is retraining. You're teaching your system stillness is not danger. Now we're going to talk about the identity collapse. Now, I'm going to say this thing that creates transformation. You are not stuck. You are loyal. You are loyal to the identity that keeps you safe. Even if it's expensive. Even if it's outdated. Even if it costs you your future. Your work is not to be better. Your work is to end loyalty to an old contract. Because every time you hesitate, every time you delay, every time you sabotage, your nervous system is saying, I choose the old contract. So, the new life never installs. Not because it can, but because you won't let it become safe. Here's the deepest question in this whole lesson. What would you do if you weren't trying to protect anything? What would you do if you weren't trying to protect anything? Who would you become? What would you stop negotiating with? Now that you answered that, let's go ahead and get a new contract going. Because this is where it becomes real. Finish these sentences. My old contract was blank. To be safe, I must blank. Number 2, the cost of that contract has been blank. Number 3, my new contract is blank. To be free, I will blank. Number 4, the state I choose to train as my new home base is blank. Grounded clarity, steady power, quiet certainty. Choose what you want. But the state I choose to train my new home base is what? And then number 5. The first proof I will give my body is what? Now this must be small and undeniable. So the first proof I will give my body today is what? This is where you stop being a teacher of the work and become the practitioner again. So, let's go ahead and take a breath for a minute. You're not here because you lack knowledge. You're here because your system has a home base that doesn't match what you want to receive. So, from this moment forward, you stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what is my body protecting? What contract am I honoring? What state is my home base? Because the moment you can name it, you can retrain it. And the moment you retrain it, your life stops being a fight and it becomes a design. So in the next lesson, we're getting surgical. We're going to understand how environments set your nervous system, how routines encode identity, how nighttime closes the loop, and how to install a new home-based state on purpose. But for now, don't rush to do anything. Just notice. You feel different than when you started. That difference is the doorway, and you can walk right through it. And I'll see you in the next lesson.